So next up, you fired an action and you want to update the store. So how does that work? So that happens with reducers. So we're gonna run through. So you can see here we've got the state before and the state after. Let's have a look at this example. So before the text was just A, I typed an additional B, so the payload was AB, and now the text is AB in here. So the store's changed, right? Changed from being an A to being an AB. So reducers take actions and they take the existing state of the part of the store they're responsible for and they transform it into a new state for the store. So let's have a look at an example. So I put my reducers in the Redux reducers folder because that makes a shitload of sense. So here we've got the update text to-dos reducer. So there's a lot of code in here. Just ignore it for now. So you've got the to-dos function. So this is a reducer. So reducer takes a state. So that will be the previous state of the store for the part it cares about. So what I mean by that is that so we're looking at the to-dos reducer. The to-dos reducer only cares about this part. It doesn't care about the user part. It doesn't see it, can't change it. It just cares about this bit here, right? The whole to-dos thing. It doesn't care about the user thing. So you get, when it says state, it means the to-dos part of the Redux store, and you get an action, and the action looks exactly as you're thinking it will look. It's like this fucking thing here, right? As these things get fired, they come in, right? So you've got the state and you've got the action. You see here it says state equals initial state. So if you've not seen this before, this is a default parameter assign. It's like a thing in a lot of languages. And so the quite common thing is to put your initial state at the top. So this is what the store should look like right out the gate when you start the app. And you've already kind of seen that this happened, right? This is when we load the app up, this is what the store looks like. So this reducer gets called once, and I think they don't pass state in, so then it sets up the initial state or something like that. But basically, if you do this, then the state will be whatever you put in here. So this is how you set up the initial state before anything's happened. Like when your app loads, you set it up like that. So then if we jump down into what's actually happening, so we've got the old state coming in and we've got an action, and our job is to return the new state that we want to see in the store. So there are a couple of caveats that go along with that. So we want to take the old state and look at the action and say, hey, what action is this? What do we want to do to the state? Then we return the new state, but we can't mutate the state. So that's quite important. That's like a golden fucking rule of this stuff. You can't mutate the state. It's like bad. It will break it. Just bad things happen. So to not mutate things, a really convenient way to do that is spreading, because spreading doesn't mutate stuff. So let's just quickly run through an example of how you mutate something. If you're thinking, oh, how do I mutate something? Like let's just look at that. So we're in the console at the bottom here. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm down here. So I'm going to assign a variable, right? So let's assign an object. So we've got x. X is hello world, right? To mutate x is really easy. You just say x.hello, right? So like you're going in here. So now when you do that, it'll be world, right? So x.hello, you can assign it to be like, yeah, you can see I did this before. Spanner. So now if you look at x has changed. So you've mutated it. Because before x was this, like you can see it quite clearly here, then we did some shit and now x has changed. Right? So spreading is a way to not change things because of the way spreads work. So we've got a section in the ZDev apprenticeship course on spreading, like a dedicated thing, because it is really important in Redux. You might also see in some of the shitty tutorials that exist that you can do like object.assign. Object.assign is a spread, but object.assign is like really hard to understand. Spreading's like a lot easier to wrap your brain around. So the way a spread works, we've got it. I mean, really the best thing to do is to go look at the other thing, but just quickly, the way it works is when you spread something in, like maybe this, you've got state variable, it's an object, and you do ... This expression here will basically is saying, hey, go create a new object and then spread this other object into it. So you're not changing anything. You're literally saying copy this into like this new object I've created. So everything's new, everything's like copied. So you're never changing anything. So long story short, don't do what I did in the console. Don't like say equals this and like change bits. Spread everything all the time. Okay? You can also use underscore functions or Lodash functions or whatever you want to call it. As long as they say they don't mutate things. Some of them do, some of them don't. Most of them don't. So like you can see down here, we've used a reject. You can use like, finds, filters. That's all cool. Maps. That's fine. You can also use the native ones that are also now in JavaScript. So like myArray.map. That's fine. Okay. So let's go back to this code. So we've got the update to do text comes in. So yeah, first of all, we've got this switch statement. Let's talk about that. So action.type. So type in this example, if we look in here, was, let's scroll up a bit, type was to do update, to do slash update to do text. So now let's look in here. We switch on action.type. If you're not familiar with switch statements, they're a little bit unusual. People don't use them all that often. They're basically like giant if-elses. They're if-elses that are specially designed for strings, basically. So it's like saying if action type equals this, then do this. Else if it equals this, then do this stuff. If it equals that, then okay, I'm going to do this one. So it will only do one of these things. So if this one matches, it will do this one. If this one matches, it will do this one, but it can't do both. If none of them match, then it just returns state. So then you're saying, okay, I got some state in, I did fuck all, and I'm just going to return the same state, right? So that's like no change. So that's why when I said before, every action goes to every single reducer, the most common thing that happens is most of those reducers give, like, they don't care, and they just return this, right? Most of the time, that's what's going to happen. So for example, the user's reducer in this example just returns state, so it never gives a shit. It will come in here all the time, but it just always returns state. So in the case that this is the update to do text, which is the one we care about, what are we telling it to do? So we're saying create a new object, spread in the existing state. So now you've got all of your existing state, but we're saying override something. So the currently editing to do key, I'm going to set that up to be a new object. So this is like spreading everywhere, right? So this is quite common, and at first you're kind of like, like what the hell, what's going on? But you kind of get used to it, but it does take you a little while to get your head around it. And you've always got the debugger as your friend. Stick a breakpoint in here, figure out what's going on. It kind of is annoying that Chrome won't let you do spreads, so you kind of have to just like run things, assign them to var, and see what it did. But you get my point. So we're saying keep the original state, set this key to be what? A new object. We're going to spread in whatever the old currently editing to do was. So we're keeping all of that. But we're going to change the text to be action.payload. So in our example, what that means is the result of that is what happens here. Before currently editing to do. So we keep all the rest of the state. So to do's was an empty array. We keep that. That's cool. We're like not touching that. We're leaving that alone. Currently editing to do, which is the bit we care about. So completed was false. We keep that. We keep that because of the spread. Because we said, hey, currently editing to do, we want that to be what it was before, but just override this one thing, text. And the text has changed. And then what's it changed to? Action.payload. And action.payload was AB. So that's why this is in here. And that's it. That's kind of the whole thing. So a reducer is just a function which takes the old state and an action, and you have to return the new state. And the golden rule is you can't mutate the old state. You can't fuck around with it. You can't change it. So you should just use spread all the time. That's the game. You do that, and it will just all work. So you take the old state and you spread in the right ways. Maybe override some stuff. Pretty common pattern that's going on here. You can see if you look down a bit as well. That's kind of what's going on. So you override some stuff. And then, yeah, that's kind of it. So in a minute, we'll go through some of the more complex. This is a pretty straightforward one. We're just taking some text and updating it. Some of the other examples in this to-do example are a little bit more complicated, so we'll run through those. And then once your reducers run and it's returned the new state, then that state automatically gets put in the store. You see it get logged out, and then of course all of your components are connected to the store, and so whenever the store changes, the props get updated. When props get updated, React just re-renders it, so you'll see the new shit. That's it.